Hello and welcome to Disney with the Ducks. I am your host for tonight, Lonnie G, and I'm joined by some special Ducks tonight. We have Jody B. How
Hi,
are you,
friends.
Jody?
I'm awesome.
Mean Gene. Woo!
Woo!
Not the first time I've been called special. Hello.
Yes, but unlike other times, we mean it this time. And we have a special guest joining us. He's been here before. You guys asked for him to come back. We have Ben. Ben, how are you doing tonight, sir?
Good. How are y'all doing?
It's better than we deserve. So, guys, before we get started tonight, because I think this is going to be a great show that everyone's going to want to listen to. Before we get started, just ask that you go to your podcatcher of choice. Give us 5 stars if you don't mind. Give us some feedback. We're trying to grow the algorithm. This helps people find us. Also, if you have any feedback you'd like to give us on how we can make the show better or what you would like to see from the show, please put it on there as well. Don't put get rid of Gene because we tried and that feedback doesn't work. But if you have any other feedback, maybe limited Gene to maybe one show a month, I don't know, something like that. Maybe that'll work. I don't know. But we do read the feedback and we will incorporate it. So thank you guys for taking time to do that. Remember, 5 stars, greatly appreciated. So tonight is episode 149, the DCL Disney Treasure Review with Ben. As you guys know, Ben is one of our friends, and it was the initial party when we started the Ducks many moons ago. But also, he is a travel agent, and recently Ben went on the Disney Treasure. Now, Ben, this was a special event, right? You had to be invited to go on it.
It was, yes, sir. Yeah, it was the media preview cruise. It was the second cruise that had come out.
So,
I guess, Lonnie, our invitation got lost in the mail.
yeah, I mean, obviously, I need to check my emails more. I'm sure it's in there somewhere. Maybe it went to my spam, but I'm so glad that Ben did go on the cruise because Jody and I were talking about the treasure a couple of weeks ago and how, as we were reading up on it, how excited we were with some of the things on there. And when we kind of saw you on the treasure, I was like, well, Ben's on the treasure. We got to talk to him about this. So thank you for joining us tonight, sir, and sharing your insights on Disney's newest ship.
And then I just say, we weren't stalking you, Ben. It's not like we, had a Find My Friend location on you. You were doing a really good job updating your social media. So, we got to see a little bit about the treasure.
I did get an alert saying something about an air tag that was somebody had put on me. I wasn't real sure about that.
Yeah, and can you mail that back to Gene, please? Because he needs that.
Right.
Listen, Ben, would not be the first time that Lonnie, somehow was stalking somebody, showed up in a photo, air tags. I mean, there's all kind of ways that it's been done.
That's right.
Yeah. So just saying. But before we get started, we always like to start off with a quick question so you guys can get to know us better. Jody B, you have a question for us tonight?
I do. So we are, in the new year. It's a brand new year, 2025. And I was just curious, do any of you have any fun celebrations that you do on New Year's Day? How do you ring in the new year? What's something that you do? Or is there something that you do on New Year's Day?
Ben, you're our special guest. Anything you do special on New Year's Day?
I'll take it. So, I will go ahead and kind of back it in a little bit on New Year's Eve, especially since we've had kids now. We had started, many years ago, we'll do a family board night. So we all get on the floor, do board games up until midnight, watch the recap of the whole year and everything else, and then bring in a new year, together as a family. And then, the next day on New Year's Day, we'll always go over to Kristen's mom's house, have that traditional New Year's Day, lunch, pork and sauerkraut and collard greens and black-eyed peas and cornbread, that whole 9 yards.
Nice. It's amazing how even different parts of the country, people do the same things. Not as much as the board games, but definitely the food.
Right.
I'm glad you said board games there, because at first you were saying how bored you were. I was like, gosh, you're making your kids stare at the wall or something on New Year's Eve? Poor children. I mean, you go sailing off on a cruise ship, and then that's their punishment, is they have to be bored all night long.
Right.
Maybe the punishment is he makes them, look at his social media to see how much fun he's having.
Oh, yeah.
That's the punishment. Jody B, what about you? What do you do?
I wish I could say we had special traditions on New Year's Day, but quite frankly, I feel like there's a lot of football being watched and a lot of laziness happening. And I attempt to clean things up and kind of start undoing some of the Christmas decorations, but there's not a lot of great tradition. I always mean to do the sauerkraut and pork. That's always I should do that. But I always feel like we're always so full and I'm kind of tired of food at that point in time that I never get around to it. I'm terrible. So yeah, I can't say that there's anything remarkable we do on New Year's Day. Unfortunately, this New Year's Day, my son is having surgery the day before, so I will be playing nurse on New Year's Day. Not so fun.
Not so much fun.
No.
Not at all.
Mean Gene, what about you, sir?
Yeah, so I find it interesting that both of y'all said sauerkraut because that is not something that I don't know. Maybe my parents ate it once when I was a kid or something, but something in Louisiana, I don't hear anybody talk about sauerkraut. So I grew up eating, pork, black eyed peas, cornbread, and smothered cabbage, and that's what we usually eat if we go to Christy's parents' house. But she doesn't like smothered cabbage, but she likes cabbage and coleslaw, and my kids will eat coleslaw. So that's kind of what we have instead. And I've done smothered cabbage just for myself, but it's kind of not worth it just to do it for me. But I mean, sauerkraut is cabbage, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So it's the same principle. And I know people that have done, greens, some other kind of greens, but we do some kind of cabbage, and that's kind of watch football, chill out. If my wife is feeling a burst of energy, she'll start taking down Christmas decorations, which I like to leave them up a little bit longer. I'm not ready for it to be over with. So.
My problem is always that we leave for Dopey so soon after that I try to have everything cleaned up because I don't want to come back from that trip and have to do everything.
Yeah.
Anyway, what about you, Lonnie? New Year's Day.
To Gene's point, I'm from Louisiana, so we do the cabbage, black eyed peas, and then a roast or something like that. And then after that, we will always just kind of work on our vision board, take a couple of hours or so to sit down with me and my wife and kind of plot out our year. So what's our vision for the year? What we're going to work on? What's some of the goals we have? Be it planning vacations early or whatever. So we do that usually on that day as well. So we kind of start the year off fresh. So we have a kind of like a North Star and a guide on as to where we're doing and where we're going for the year. And usually at the end of the year as well, New Year's Eve, we'll pull out, and we always have our vision board out, but we'll look at it and we usually check off what we've accomplished and the things we haven't. We say, hey, look, why didn't we do this? We need to circle back, maybe we put it on the board as well for the next year and just kind of plan our year out. But there's a lot of food, a lot of stretchy pants, and some naps throughout the day as well.
Do you cut pictures out of magazines for this vision board?
No, not. You know what?
Or is it virtual? Like, is it Pinterest?
Yeah, well, we actually have it. We have a magnet board, so I'll print off some stuff from the internet. I like to print. And
I know you do. Yeah.
On there. And
email and stuff. You cut off your emails.
We want to do. We want to have this. We want to have that. We want to have this.
Okay.
We kind of make it. And Jenny, goes back to our old job, right? It has to be a SMART goal, right? So we want to make sure we go through it and say, hey, is it smart? So we do that. So, Gene,
Gotcha.
What is the S in SMART?
Specific.
Look, there you go. He remembered. I'm proud of you. Yeah,
I didn't know if you stand
together. We used to have us make our SMART goals. So yeah.
Specific, measurable, actionable,
and timely.
What's the R? The R is relevant. But I don't know if when you said back to like work, I thought maybe it was you'd stay in demand. I just didn't know. If you we had to do this exercise where you had to like formulate some kind of a goal, some kind of a value, and you had to stand up in front of everybody and say, my stand is, and you announce what your stand is or what you're gonna, kind of what you're gonna do.
Like standing and demanding, that kind of
standing and demanding, taking a lead, making a difference.
There you go. So Gene and I have a million of them. We're gonna stop because we go back a ways, so we always have these little wild conversations, remembering the past. But you're not here for that. You are here to hear from Ben and his journey on the Disney Treasure. Like I said, Disney's newest ship, the sister ship to the Wish, And so Ben, we're gonna just turn it over to you. Can you tell us when did you head down? How was your up to it? Did you come in the day before? You went to Disney? I mean, how did you arrive in Florida to get on the treasure?
Yeah, absolutely. So we came in. I actually came in on Tuesday, just because I wanted to get in there a little bit earlier. We weren't supposed to leave until Thursday on the cruise, but we ended up staying at Animal Kingdom, the night beforehand, so Wednesday night. But I wanted to get down there with enough time, not have to worry about anything. Want to make sure I get on that ship. So I went down Tuesday. Stayed local, right there at Disney Springs, just walked over to Disney Springs, hung out for a little bit, then went back. And then, of course, we went into, the parks for a little bit on Wednesday, went to Epcot, left Epcot, had to go over there and see, the classic Christmas ornaments and decorations and everything over at Hollywood Studios. And then, of course, they had the Jollywood Nights that night. So had to, switch gears a little bit and then go over to Magic Kingdom. If nothing else, just walking down Main Street and getting that Christmas vibe. I mean, that's what it's about, Rode People Mover, Carousel of Progress, and that was it. That was a wrap for me. But then we went in on, of course, we left on Thursday morning. So Disney Cruise Lines picked us up from the resort and then took us over there. And that's what got it started on that.
Now, the Treasure is the 6th ship in the Disney Cruise Line fleet, correct? So we've got the Magic and the Wonder, which were the first two, and their sister ships. The Dream and the Fantasy, which were the next two, number 3 and 4, and their sister ships. Then we started with the Wish, which is a completely different ship and different layout and different feel. And then her sister ship is the Treasure. But the Treasure is pretty unique from what I understand. Tell me a little bit about the overall theming of this ship and what makes it so different than all the rest.
Absolutely. So I have not, I'll be completely honest, I have not been on the Wish. So I don't know, I can't compare it to the Wish, but I know that, a lot of people have, and they were saying a lot of it is, like the layout itself is the same as the Wish, but, they replaced, certain things with the other ones. To me, it was the perfect marriage of Disney Cruise Line and the theme parks. They really, really brought in the theme parks in a heavy, presence in that atmosphere, in my opinion. But its theming itself is all about, because of the Treasure, is Aladdin themed. So you see, Jasmine and Aladdin, in the main atrium, the magic lamp that plays a big part in the nighttime shows in there with the magic lamp. But then, of course, all of the, the carpet has got, the big, tiger, at the beginning of the movie of Aladdin, whenever he's going in to find the lamp and everything else, there's a lot of tie-ins to that as well.
How cool. Now, the Treasure, you were on a 3-night sailing, but that's not what it's typically going to sail, correct? Is it?
That is correct. So we were just on a media preview cruise just to get the lay of the land and really promote, the ship itself. There on our cruise, there were a lot of people, a lot of radio personnel up there. So the whole entire, pool deck was covered with radio stations doing interviews and things like that. But it was a 3-night, and like we've discussed in the past, to me, those 3 nights really aren't, it's not anything to write home about, because you don't get the lay of the land. By the time you finally get on and find out where you're at, it's time to get off the ship. So, but you're right. This one is going to be a 7-night itinerary, leaving out of Port Canaveral.
And will it only be Eastern or Western, or is it mixing it up? Do you know that yet? Or
they're mixing it up between the Eastern and Western.
Okay. I've been on both Eastern and Western, and I love it. To me, 7-night is 5 to 7 is the sweet spot. I've done 3 and 4s, and they're okay. If you can only get away for a 3-night cruise, well, then great, I would go for it. But I prefer a little bit longer. Get to know your stateroom hosts, get to know your servers, get to know other people on the ship. But that's awesome that's going to be a 7-night, because the Wish is still doing only 3 and 4s, correct?
I believe so, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, to your point, I agree wholeheartedly. I mean, by the time you really get settled in, if you're doing a 3 or 4 night, it's time to get off. right? Which is why a lot of people, I think, do the back-to-backs on the Wish. And even on my last cruise, a lot of people on the Magic were doing back-to-backs, right? And that was a 6-night, right? So they had 12 nights, on there. So that's pretty good. So what time did you get on the ship, Ben?
Yep. So we left. I think we ended up leaving the resort probably about 9:30. By the time we finally got on the bus and heading out that way, I think it was probably about 10:30. So you were looking about an hour and 15 minutes. Excuse me. Bus ride over. So I think we finally got on the ship probably about 11:30. And then it was, off to the races we went. Of course, the baggage isn't ready, but, of course, the food is and ready to go.
You had your food.
Right.
Is it called Marceline Market on that ship also, like the Wish?
It is.
Okay. So instead of cabanas like the other ships, it's called Marceline Market.
Right.
And here's an important question I have. There's things about the Wish I don't care for, to be perfectly frank. I can't stay on that deck 4. It's not a running track. And I don't love the non-adult areas. I like them better when they're separated from the rest of the universe. But something I do like about the Wish ship is that there's more than one coffee shop. So it's not just always going back to the Cove Cafe in the adult area. There's coffee places, in Marceline and other places like that. Is that the same on the Treasure? Did you notice?
It is. Yep. Right there at Marceline Market. Before you get into the buffet area and everything, there's a coffee shop there as well.
That's nice.
I did hear, I think I was watching the story. A lot of the feedback guests provided about the Wish in regards to how they want to make it better, they incorporated that into the Treasure. Right. So apparently some of the things that they did in regards to how they set up places were a lot better now. I know one thing, I think, and we had this conversation, Jody, about the number of elevators and the elevator banks on the Wish as compared to the Fantasy. Where you have more on the Fantasy, it kind of causes a little bit of a backup when you're trying to get on the ship and get around the ship. How did you think the navigation was on the Treasure, Ben? Was it easy to get around? Could you find the different decks, the elevators? How was that?
Yeah, so I mean, and that is one thing that kind of took me by surprise was you did not have the elevators in the midship. They're all either forward or aft, and that took some getting used to. The good thing is, instead of just having those two different elevators in the mid, and everybody trying to utilize those, on the forward and aft, there were 6 elevators on either side of those. So they did incorporate a lot of that. So you didn't have to wait, a long time for those. So yeah, definitely a lot better on that.
Nice.
So let's go back to the beginning. As we're jumping ahead, I'm all excited to hear about this. So you walk into the ship and you're in the atrium and it's Aladdin and Jasmine. So this was your first time in this type of class ship. What did you think about the atrium? Because it's so different than Magic, Wonder, Dream, Fantasy. Right.
Yeah. So, and me and a couple other people have been talking about it. One thing that we noticed is whenever you're walking in and they're welcoming everybody, the Lappin family and the, everybody else's family coming in, typically they're in their dress whites, to welcome you on board. But because the theming is more towards, like I've said before, trying to incorporate the theming, the theme parks into it, you had more of the cast member, down outfits a little bit more. So they were not in their dress whites. But coming into the main atrium, it's gorgeous. The big chandelier up top. One thing that we noticed was the center stage. They utilized that a lot during the cruise as well. A lot of shows going on. Yeah, and that's one thing that I did hear about the Wish is that they had it there, but they didn't really use it. But they definitely did use it on this one.
That's great. I mean, there's a beautiful stage there. You might as well use it. So,
right.
All right. So you get on the ship. So anything before I move on? Sorry, didn't mean to.
No, you're fine.
Lonnie, are you frozen? Okay. No, you're there. Okay. So tell me about your stateroom. So, there's inside staterooms. There's staterooms that have verandas. There are staterooms that don't have verandas. What did you have, and did you get to see? And you don't have to bother telling me about concierge staterooms because I'm never going to have money to stay there. But, but I mean, I guess you could. But tell me about the different stateroom options, what you stayed in, and what you thought about the accommodations.
Absolutely. So, of course, they do have the inside staterooms, ocean view, veranda staterooms as well, and then the concierge. Inside staterooms, they don't have that many. Kind of like on the Wish, there's very few of those available. Now, one thing that we did notice was there's not any deluxe inside staterooms, so you don't have the magic portholes, there anymore on that one. I don't know if that was just the ones that we saw, but I know as far as like the category availability, there's not a deluxe inside stateroom. But those are super nice. We saw those. They had all the different stateroom categories available for us to do room tours on. So they did have an inside stateroom set up for the daytime and then the nighttime as well. So you could see what it looked like with the upper berths down and then things like that. We had an ocean view with a veranda. So we had a category 5A, super nice. It had the queen size bed, and then it had the sofa that folded down as well. So that was super, super nice. And of course, it does have the split bathroom. And if you're a family of, any size, I don't care what size it is, that split bathroom is great to consider. And the one thing that, on Disney cruises, unlike other ones, is that queen bed does not separate. So on other cruise lines, you'll get two twins and they push them together. So just take that in consideration that, if you want to do, the queen bed and you want to separate it, they don't do that.
I didn't know that about other.
I did not know that either.
Yeah, but it was fantastic. We did get to see all the other ones. We had a very, very, awesome, opportunity to go onto the Raja Royal Suite as well, which is a 2-story suite. And like you said, I will never be able to stay there, but I'm glad that I got the opportunity to do a tour of it. I've got many videos, on my Instagram and Facebook page, and I'll be posting a couple more. But between that one and then the funnel suite, which is the Tomorrowland Tower Suite, that was fantastic. I mean, it was amazing.
I'm just going to throw this out there. If anyone listening wants to book one of those and needs a +1, I mean, right. I am happy to take that, be your guest if you would like to just invite me on there. Of course, on your dime. I mean, let's just be real here. I couldn't even afford the second person's fare on the stateroom, but yeah.
Those sleep up to 8 people in those suites.
Yeah, I could be number 8. I won't take up much. I'll do one of the pull-down beds.
She's tiny. She could just, you won't even know she's there.
No, Jody, they don't have any pull-down beds on that one.
Oh, of course they don't.
Yeah.
Of course they don't. Now, I not that I keep trying to compare it to the Wish, but since I have sailed that, and not that I hated the Wish, it's going to make it sound like I'm negative Nelly here, but one of the things I do remember is that the storage, the actual drawers, there weren't a lot of those on the Wish, and I remember thinking that was like we didn't know, and having a teenage girl who packs 2 pairs of Mickey ears for every day, storage is incredibly important. So how did you feel about the actual storage? My memory, and again, I'm kind of dusting my cobwebs here, there was a lot of closet space, but I don't remember there being a lot of drawers and storage.
No, you are correct. Yeah, the storage space in the closet is very, very nice. There's 2 different closets in there so that you've got plenty of space to hang everything, put the luggage in there if you want to. Of course, the beds themselves are raised so that you can put your luggage up underneath there. And they've got the small little nightstands that you can, put your phone and chargers and things like that. But when it comes to drawer space, you're absolutely correct. I think that there were 3 drawers available, and they're not very. I mean, I'm not saying they're not big, but they're not small either. So go with a medium size. But yeah, there's only 3 drawers available.
Okay, good to know. All right, so stateroom, you were happy with your stateroom.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so Lonnie, what do you want to talk about next? What's your favorite part about cruising?
Food. So you got on board. You got to grab something to eat, right? Did you? Your first time was at Marceline Market? Was that where you went the first
Yep.
when you guys arrived?
Yep.
All right. So that's the buffet. Tell us about it. How was the selection?
So it was good. I enjoyed it. There were a lot of selections, like it always is on a Disney cruise. Food was top notch. Didn't have anything bad to eat. They had lots of options to choose from. Of course, getting on there the first day, they had the shrimp, they had the charcuterie boards that are already pre-made for you. So that was nice. They had all of the areas, for the chicken fingers and stuff like that for the kids, all the desserts. They had the steak and everything that you could think of.
Did they have salad, Ben?
They did. They did have a
It's a
salad.
waste of lettuce on that
Yep.
business. Waste of
Yep.
space. They could have put
They
something
did
else.
have a salad, and I did have one. It was chicken salad, grilled chicken on the top. So it was good. I enjoyed it.
All right. So for to continue on Lonnie's favorite subject,
So
tell
that
us-
night, the first night, tell us about the restaurant. The restaurants that has rotational dining, just like the others, right? So, but these restaurants I hear are completely different
Right.
and exciting. So, tell us about your first night for dining. What was it? What was the place? What did you do?
So our first night was 1923. So 1923 is, kind of like an upper scale, restaurant. They've got two different sides, one for Walt, one for Roy. Overall, I really enjoyed it. The food was good, like always. The only downside of it was I felt like the room was a little small. Where we were positioned, there was us, and then there was another table right beside us, and the other table was literally 6 inches from us. So they might as well have scooted us together and made one big table, because where we were at, it was right there, kind of at the kitchen area, and there was a lot of motion, back and forth where we were, and I felt like that little aisleway between our tables was really, really, it was snug. But overall, we had great food. The appetizers were good, main meal, of course, the dessert, doing the molten lava, cake, those were fantastic as well.
Nice.
So then going off of that, going into the rotational dining, our second night was at Coco. Now, that one,
I'm excited to hear about.
that one to me was the best. Just
Oh.
overall, for so many different reasons. One, the theming of it was fantastic. You had a show. It was not, from what I heard, on the Wish, with it being Arendelle, it was a lot going on. But here at Coco, you had the show, and you did, all of the performers, came through, during their show as well. But the food was really, really good. So the appetizers. Oh, and before I even say anything else, the great thing about it is, as soon as you sit down, as tradition in all Mexican restaurants, as soon as you sit down, chips and salsa. So you get that little bit before the appetizers come out, but the appetizers were great. You had empanadas, you had guacamole, that traditional food, and it was fantastic. And then even going into the main entree, you had your cansadas, you had sea bass. I mean, everything was fantastic. Once again, and of course, for dessert, you got the mini churros. So you can't go wrong with that.
Hey, Jean, do you know how many appetizers you're allowed to order at one of these main dining in the evening?
I do not definitely know the answer, but I'm led to believe that is it unlimited, or is there? Yeah.
As always, Gene just it's wealth of knowledge. He steps in and he
I
makes
question
it happen.
myself. I'm sorry. I
You should,
apologize.
yeah, you got it. There's no
I'm
need.
trying to be better.
Mhm.
You were spot on.
Spot
Wear
on.
the stretchy pants, eat all the food, order all the apps.
Oh yeah,
And I love Mexican food. I love Coco. Love that movie. Saw a couple of pictures from the actual show. It looks really good.
oh yeah. The show was fantastic. Really, really enjoyed it. Tied back into everything. And yes, like you said, on the appetizers and the entrees, there were many of us who ordered multiple different options to choose from.
Well, you have to. It's research. You have
Right,
to deal with
exactly.
people.
I mean, if you didn't, how could you be the wealth of knowledge and a successful TA that you are now if you don't try everything?
Right.
Right. So I think you had to.
On my phone is an appointment in the beginning of January to take Lonnie to the France Pavilion to get a brioche ice cream sandwich because, for research. But it's been on my calendar as an appointment, on my work calendar as an appointment with a reminder about 9 months ago whenever we booked Dobie. So, for research, you have to do these things.
You have to.
Basically, she had to put on her work calendar because just having to put up with me is a job. It's a job for her, right? But we skipped to the evening. But I want to go back up this a little bit during the day. What did you do that second day?
Hey, should we talk about the third main dining before we talk about?
Sure, let's do that.
Let's talk about main dining. Let's finish up with main dining.
Let's do that. Let's do that.
Okay.
So the third main dining for us was World of Marvel, which I love Marvel, the Avengers, and everything behind it. My son has really got me into that. I've got Captain America shield over there that we built. My son and I. We've done the Iron Man. I'm currently building my son an Iron Man suit, for Comic-Con. So we're really heavily involved in that. But I thought the theming of it was good as far as like the atmosphere of it. It had a lot of the vibes of Avengers Campus out at DC8. The food, in my opinion, was the appetizers were the star of that show. They had a poke bowl that was really, really fresh. To me, that was my favorite, appetizer of the whole entire cruise. In regards to the theming or the show portion of it from there, I don't think it fit really well, in my opinion. And the reason why is because you've got all of the Avengers and everything else, but the show was the Guardians. And to me, yes, I know that the Guardians are in there a little bit, on the last couple of movies. But to me, I thought it would have fit a little bit better if you had some show of, Iron Man or Thor or Spider-Man or any of those characters. I think it would have fit a little bit better. But you had all of the songs from, Guardians of the Galaxy, Cosmic Rewind. So all of that was going through. So that was nice.
I was hoping it would do Gene's show that he actually created and was an idea that he shipped out to Disney. And, obviously they didn't listen to him, but Gene, I think your show would have fit in perfectly.
Yeah. I could do this all day. The Steve Rogers story.
Exactly. So that should have been there. But you missed the mark on that one, Disney. You missed the mark.
For sure.
All right. So we've talked about main dining. So now that we've talked about the important thing, the food, all right? So now let's go back to kind of, so first day, exploring everything, checking everything out. Did they have a sail away party for you guys?
They did.
Fun.
Yep. And it was nice. And of course, they did the sail away party as all, typical, Disney ones, and they bring out all the characters and everything else. And then you go, you sell out, and then you've got the horns that go. And that was a nice addition because it is different horns. They played 2 of the different songs, different horn blasts. But I didn't hear any of the other ones throughout the rest of the cruise, and they really don't announce it. They don't say, hey, the horn's going to blow in 5 minutes or anything else. So it's just, if you're out there, you hear it. If you're not, you're not, you don't hear it. But they did have a sail away party for us, that night as well.
Fun. All right. Was there a main show that first night?
There was a main show. I did not go to it just because I was trying to, see the rest of the ship and go to the spa area and everything else. So I did not see the first showing.
Was it the Goofy Spectacular?
Yep, it was.
I actually like that show. I think it's cute.
Yeah.
All right, Lonnie, on to your next question.
Well, no, I did hear there was a little change in this one compared to the other ships around the ice cream cones and the soft serve. Now, is it true that you can't walk up to it and just get it yourself on the ship?
Yes. Yep. No. And that's one thing that we did notice. And we even talked about it. If you can still get ice cream as much as you want. I mean, if you want to stand there and just knock them back as much as you want, you can. But you're right. It's not a self-serve anymore. You go up there, tell them what flavor you want, and then they'll give it to you at that point. But you're correct.
Taking away
I
my
mean,
power.
it's kind of, I don't know. I mean, you kind of take, good with the bad. At least you don't have kids up there, making a mess and everything else and trying to make it, sky
Sticking their
high.
grubby
and
fingers.
everything else.
Mhm.
Right.
It's kind of like getting your gas in New Jersey, huh, Lonnie? But you don't get grubby kid fingers, and them sneezing in their hands and grabbing stuff, and it skeeves me out a little bit. So that's good.
We just leave that for the buffet.
Yeah.
But going back to the food, Lonnie, they've got, not only is it the, Marceline Market, but up top, I mean, you've still got, the great areas, with the chicken fingers and the pizza. And the pizza, you got the cheese and pepperoni, but then you can make your own pizza, have them make it. It's fresh. It comes out super quick. They've got a taco bar, so you can do soft shell tacos, burritos, bowls, things like that. Those were really, really good. And then you had an area with barbecue and ribs and sausages. I mean, it was definitely, on spot on those as well.
Oh, yeah, I'm going to have to go ahead and book. Okay, so Ben, I'm going to ask you about something that's actually the most exciting part of this ship to me, the
Bring it.
Haunted Mansion Lounge. Did you go into the Haunted Mansion Lounge, Ben? Tell us about it.
Dude, it's amazing. So, whenever you walk in, it on the, a couple different days, like on that first day, I don't think it opened until 12. And that first day we walked in, it was packed. But I think it's just because it's the newness. I think the first day, any of the sailings, just because of it being so popular, I think that first day is going to be overwhelmingly, busy. They do kind of like Oga's Cantina. They do have a 45-minute limit, while you're in there. But whenever you walk in, they've got a small little foyer area before you even walk into the parlor. And it's got all of the classic, Haunted Mansion signs. It's got the door. It's got the snake as the handle. And then whenever you walk in, I mean, it's basically dumping you out in Haunted Mansion. You're just not on a doom buggy, but it's dumping you out inside of it. It's fantastic. I was telling some people tonight at a get together that we had, that whenever you walk in, even the wallpaper is not wallpaper. It is, it's a fabric, so, I mean, they go over the top. They could have just done a wallpaper and been done with it, but no, they went that extra step and did an actual, fabric, wallpaper or, whatever it is, wall covering. But you've got, the chandeliers, you've got the cobwebs, you've got the hitchhiking ghost in the mirror behind the bar. You've got Madame Leota that comes on. You've got the ghost host coming through and telling his spill. You've got aquariums in there with skeleton fish that disappear. You've got artwork, that moves. You've got the artwork that changes whenever the lightning goes through. I mean, there's so many different aspects of it that are just unreal. Whenever you go up to the bar area. It was a kind of like a margarita, tequila based drink, and it was called the Chilling Challenge. And with the Chilling Challenge, you get a death certificate, but then they also put in, they'll put like a foam at the top of it, and then they put it in one of their machines that kind of, does the imprints, kind of like the coffee does at the Cove Cafe. Mm-hmm. But whenever they do it, it does it in that, the black light. So whenever and then they pump it in with the smoke, kind of like a smoked old fashioned that you would typically see. So whenever they open the lid of it, the smoke comes out, and then they shine a black light over it, and it shows the Haunted Mansion on top of the foam. I mean, really, really over the top. Another part of it is, whenever Madame Leota is doing her seance and everything else and saying all the things, some of the cast members back there, they have a bell that they will hand, certain guests every once in a while. So they handed it to me at that one point. And, I got to ring the bell whenever Madame Leota is telling her part. Really, really cool stuff. And even if you're, you want to go in and experience it, but you don't drink alcohol, there are many different non-alcoholic drinks that you can choose from. A couple of them, they've got sippers. So, of course, I had to get one. right? So you've got the Hatbox Ghost.
Hatbox Ghost.
Yeah. And I don't know if you can see it or not, but it'll take turns from lighting, of that, and then the head will light as well.
That's super fun.
Man, I need that in my life.
Right?
I need that in my life.
You had to.
Gene
Yeah,
knows stuff like that. When I walked in, if I see that, I'll be like, yeah, just go ahead and send it to the room.
Right.
And I had heard, Ben, I'm glad you brought up the non-alcoholic drinks. I heard they really expanded the menu for non-alcoholic drinks, which I think is really important because you don't, it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon. You don't always want to drink.
Right.
So
not only that, but the kids want to come in there as well. This is not an adults only area, so kids can come in, kids can get that, and then with that Hatbox Ghost sipper, you get a choice of 5 different drinks. The one that I chose is called the Creepy Crawly Cola, but they made point to say whenever you take it, though, you got to take it up and you got to shake it up upside down, because when you do, the sediment in it, and I don't know if you can see it or not, but then it swirls as well.
Oh, how cool. That's awesome. So this isn't
I'm making a list of stuff I got to get.
Right.
This isn't the only nod to the theme parks, though, right? I hear there's more bars, lounges, areas in the whole entire ship that are, because everyone keeps saying, like, maybe if you're not really big into sailing, but you love the theme parks, this is the ship for you. So tell me more about like the nods to the theme parks that are throughout the ship that you got to experience.
Absolutely. So yeah, like you said, definitely, a nod, perfect marriage between the two. You've got the Scat Cat Lounge. That one's a good one. That's kind of, a piano bar.
Like Aristocats or something? Or
it is. Yep. Oh. Right out of Aristocats. Yep. And then you've got the Skipper Society. That one's going to be right there on deck 5. It's right outside of the Haunted Mansion parlor. But in there, you do have on either side of it, you've got kind of like the butterfly room. If you've ever been to Skipper Canteen,
oh yeah,
they have those, and then they've got the birds or the parrots up top. They've got a lot of different puns, on the menu and things like that. There's a couple of drinks there that have the ship from the Jungle Cruise as well. They've got a couple different menu items, for breakfast and things like that. So they've got a waffle that you can get, and it's got, apple and cinnamon, and there's a couple different flavors on that as well. And then another one, and that's where you're also going to have a lot of live music as well during the day. But it's great place to go to and just kind of hang out as well. And then you've got the Periscope pub. That is going to be kind of like, excuse me, kind of like O'Gill's would be. Okay. But and whenever we first walked in there, the way that they've got it themed, it's very dark, very a lot of blues and wood, mahogany wood and things like that. They've got, the screens everywhere, so you feel like you're actually in, a submarine. They've got the periscope that you can look through. Every once in a while, you'll see, a hammerhead shark floating above you and things like that. But one thing we noticed was there's nowhere to see any sports if you wanted to. That is not the case, because they have got it, kind of hidden so well with those screens during the daytime or when there's no sports on that you don't notice them. But then whenever you went back in, there was a couple, football games on, later on during the cruise that you went in, and everywhere that you sat, you could see a TV. So really, really nicely done. And it's kind of tucked away. You didn't really see it, but it was there if you wanted to. They did have, a lot of beers on tap. So that would be where you would want to go if you just wanted to sit and enjoy it and, and have a drink or so. They did have the one drink, I can't remember what the name of it was right now. It was the octopus margarita, I think, but it's the one that you could see they bring in the foam gun and, puts a foam dome on top of it that pops and the smoke goes everywhere. They had that. And then, of course, they do have, bar food as well, or pub food. So they had the wings and pretzels and things like that. So those were all really, really good options if you wanted to do that.
So Ben, if you went there and you wanted to get that, what is it? You said it's the octopus margarita?
Yep.
If you got two, would it be octopi?
Oh, that's a good question.
I don't know. That's a good question.
So is that supposed to be themed after?
The 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea.
Oh, that's cool.
I think so.
That's like a throwback. I like that it's not all recent IP. It's not.
Right.
Let's talk about Frozen 2 or I don't know, Encanto or something. I like that it's an old one. That's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
So what other unique things about this ship makes it different than any other? So again, I've heard, it's the theme park fans ship. So anything else that makes it really stand out different in your mind?
That's really it. It's just, it's the theming of the, the bar areas. And I don't sound, bar areas as far as, that's all you're going to do is drink and things like that. But it's the Skipper Society. It's, in going through there, you can hear the theme, the soundtrack, behind it as well. So you feel like, like you do when you're in the parks. But you can go in there and you can enjoy it and not feel like you have to go in and have a drink every time, right?
That's where they have like trivia and things during the day too, right? I mean, in a lot of those spaces.
Right. Yeah, they're not going to have it in the Haunted Mansion parlor, but they do have it in the other locations. You're right. Yeah, they've got the trivia and everything else.
Cool. All right, Lonnie G, you and I are kind of the DCL people. What else? What other questions do you have for Ben?
Well, Ben, the only question I have, the night show. I know usually Disney Cruise Lines are famous for the Broadway selection shows. Did you go to a show there? What was it? And, how did you like it?
Absolutely. So the first, or not the first night, but, the second night, new to Disney Cruise Line was Moana. And that was by far, it was fantastic. Once the actresses and actors do a phenomenal job of putting their own spin on it, and not trying to be, The Rock and things like that, but still making it very relatable. But it was fantastic. The whole night was the way that they did all of the theming behind it, and they bring everything on stage, from the water and the sailboats and being in the town and everything else. And then at the very end of it, whenever, the Heart of Tahiti, whenever they're bringing it out, and, Moana's bringing it back to them and everything else, the way that they brought that out and, with it being on fire, you thought it was, digital, but it's not. I'm not going to spoil it for anybody, but just the way that they transform it from being on fire, and then whenever they put the heart, back in, it transforms. It's just over the top, fantastic.
Paper mache. Paper mache.
Yeah. No, definitely not paper mache. From fourth grade or kindergarten or something like that. But I'd book another cruise just to watch it. It was really, really fantastic, nicely done. And then the last night we watched Beauty and the Beast. So that one is, going back to, the live action, which they've had on the other ships as well, but it's really, really nicely done as well. And just how they bring everything into that area. And it's just unreal.
I'm glad they created a new show. I feel like Disney Cruise Line needed that. If you sail more than a couple times, you can only watch the Golden Mickey so many times. But I'm dying to see the Moana show. I love Moana and I love the music, and I think seeing that live action would be phenomenal. So
right, yeah, it was nicely done.
That's awesome.
So, what would you recommend this ship for first-time sailors if people have not been on a Disney cruise before?
I would, especially. Maybe not because of it being a 7-night. If you're just dipping your water into it and you don't know if you're really going to like it, maybe go for a 4 or 5 night, to start with. But overall, if you've been on at least one cruise before, definitely recommend this one. I think there's plenty to do on the ship, from the kids clubs. You've got the slide, on that main atrium area, you've got the slide going down into the kids clubs, and you've got the different age groups for it as well. I mean, all of that is, over the top like Disney does. And then you've got the adults only area. You've got the awesome spa area, great food. The only thing, and going back to World of Marvel, the only thing that I wish that they had done is brought out some kind of character interaction with it, more than just on the TV, but have one of the characters come through. And apparently they did have it, and I don't know if this was just on our cruise because it was the media preview cruise, but they did say that they had it either the first or second night, but they didn't have it on ours. So maybe if you're on there on a 7-night sailing, you'll at least see it once, with the characters come through. And I think it was Spider-Man that came through. So because of that, that was my only drawback on that one. But overall, I definitely highly recommend the ship. Yep.
That's awesome. Speaking of Marvel, Ben, I know you are, you mentioned making the Captain American shield. You mentioned making the Iron Man suit for your son. I mean, if you're laying around there, you got a lot of extra time on your hands. If you say you wanted to make like a large Black Panther and you need to get rid of it, feel free to send it my way.
Gotcha.
Don't thank me. I'm a giver, or I'm a taker, I guess. In that way, I'm gonna take. Yeah, so just feel free.
Okay, you can have the Black Panther suit. I'm gonna hold out for the invitation on the concierge suite. So
I don't even need the suit. You can just send out the statue. I'm good. I'm easy. And Gene, I think, will take anything from the Cowboys. You probably be able to find that somewhere in the trash.
Well, I am super excited. I have to say, after sailing on the Wish, I was kind of like, I don't need to do that class of ship anymore. I just didn't love enough about it I didn't like the layout of some of the spaces, the adult area space with the kids area butting up to one another. There were things about it that just didn't, I really missed the deck 4 walking path. So when I heard that the Treasure was going to be the same as the Wish, I was like, that's a bummer, because that's just not my, I didn't love the different parts of the actual ship layout. So I was kind of disappointed, but hearing all the things that are on the Treasure and all the great nods to the parks, because at heart, I'm a theme park girl. I love the cruises, but I love the theme parks. And so all the little, parts of that in this ship sound like it's a great for those of us who love the theme parks.
Right. Well, and you mentioned as far as like the adult area on this one, it was, I noticed the same thing as far as, where the adult area is. I do like the fact that it is, a 2-story area just to make use of it. But I felt like, anybody could walk through. So even kids, going into that area to go to the back of the ship and everything, they could go into, the kids club, or not to the kids club, but to the adult area. And there were a couple of times that they had to stop, so, okay, move on, but whatever the case is. But that's the only downside to the adult area, is there's no way to really block it off. So, and I know that, a couple of people have said in the past on other podcasts that, maybe they, if it comes into dry dock, anytime in the near future, maybe they, put walls around that, to break it up. I don't know. I know that on the Dream, it was like that, as far as it's a complete, walled off or, room. So no kids can come or go, Yeah. So that was the one area. But I do want to talk about the spa area real quick, because
you're a fan of the spa, right?
Oh, very much so.
You both are. So I'm not crazy enough. I'm not a spa person. Like I won the raffle to the rainforest room, believe it or not, on the cruise that it was just Tim and I. So we didn't even have the kids with us, and I still barely used it. I'm terrible, but I'm anxious to hear about it, for those people who like spa. Spa.
So like you said, the spa area itself, and whenever I say that, the spa area, I don't take advantage of, the manicures and pedicures and massages and
Oh,
everything
come
else.
on, Ben.
Right? But I do take advantage of, and I go to it just for the Rainforest Room. And for those of you that are not familiar with the Rainforest Room, it's basically one big room to where you can just go in and relax. On different ships, they have different things. So I know on the Dream and the Magic, they have the 3 separate showers, and they have the different scents and the different sound effects that go along with it. So
I'm going to interrupt for just a second, because the first time I heard someone talking about this, I was thinking showers like what you do in your stateroom shower.
right.
And just to be clear, these are co-ed bathing suit showers.
Correct.
This is not separate. This is not in your private shower room. This is not females and males in their own area. This is a general so I didn't know that. When people kept talking about showers, I thought about, well, what I do in the morning. I take a shower in my private bathroom, not normally with a bathing suit on. So when the first time I heard people talking about the Rainforest Room, I assumed that there must have been a female side and a male side. I didn't know that it was, not that I didn't come prepared for it being co-ed, but I did, until I saw it for the first time, I didn't know what to expect. So it's a shared spa space. Is
Correct.
how I would explain it, because that I didn't quite get that until I was there for the first time.
Right. No, you're correct. But they've got 3 different showers, and the 3 different showers, have different temperatures of the water coming down. They've got different effects. So you'll have, just a cold mist. You'll have the hot shower, with more force on it. But they do, on the Dream and the Magic, they've got the different scents that go along with it and the different sound effects. On this one, on the Treasure, they did not have the scents or the sound effects with it, but it was just basically just different pressures. So you had the rain, the rainfall one, overhead, and then you had the other ones that come out from the wall, things like that. But they do have the chairs, the Adirondack, stone chairs that you can lay on that are heated. The one thing that I did like on it was that you've got the steam room, and then you've got the dry sauna. But then, different from the other cruises that I've been on, they also have a cold room too, which is a frigid. What is it? A frigid aquarium.
Lonnie, your favorite thing, cold plunging.
But when you say cold plunging, that's kind of what I expected, right? So I like the cold plunge. I've got a cold plunge at my house. So I like the hot and cold aspects of it. So that's kind of what I was expecting. But when you go in, the room itself is white. They've got the lights throughout the place, and it looks like ice, just the way it looks. And then they do have a giant ice thing in the middle where it's making ice the entire time. So that, and it has a blue light on it. So that, I think, is more of a mental aspect of it to make you think that it's colder than what it is. And there is AC blowing in, but when you come out and you look at it and it's only 57 degrees, it's like, okay, I was expecting it to be colder. And I don't know if they can't make it colder for health reasons. I don't know. But I was expecting it to be a little bit colder on that aspect of it. But then, you go outside, and the outside area is got a bunch of, lounge areas for everybody, mainly for, couples. They've got the really, really large lounge chairs that you can do. And then there are 2 different hot tubs. Now, the outside area is closed whenever it gets dark. So it's, only sun up to sundown. And I don't know if that was, for different reasons. I'm not sure, but that's just what they had told us. But that is one thing. And I know during high winds, they'll close those as well, the hot tub areas. And comparing those to some other cruise lines that I've been on, that's one thing that I kind of don't like, is for the hot tubs to be outside, because I'd much rather have them inside to where you can use them at any given point, day or night. If it's windy or not, I'd like to see them inside a little bit better. But overall, But we did get, the full tour of the spa area. So if you wanted to do a couples massage or anything else, they've got those, available as well, but highly recommend those.
And is that where the workout room is too, by the spa area?
It is. Yep. So whenever you go in, the fitness area is going to be on the right-hand side, and then the Sensa Spa area is on the left-hand side of it.
Got it. Awesome. Oh, and I forgot to ask another question. I'm assuming they have Palo and Enchante on
Yes.
the ship? Okay.
They do. Yep. We did not do it just because we didn't have enough time to do it, and we wanted to see the other, the main dining. Just because I've done Palo before on the other ships, so I kind of figured it was about the same, but I wanted to see the other three, dining options.
And do they have that same area out front called, I'm going to say Enchanted Rose, but that's the place at the Grand Floridian. What is it called? The bar in between Enchante and...
Yes. Yeah, right out front before you go in. Yeah, so you can get a drink there.
Am I making that up?
I think you're right. But yeah, I know where you're talking about, but it's right up top, so where you can get a drink before going into the actual restaurant. Yeah.
Okay. I didn't really spend any time there, but I was just, it looked pretty. All right, Lonnie G, any more questions about the treasure?
Now, I think we grilled Ben about the treasure, and I'm gonna tell you, first off, thanks for joining us tonight and kind of sharing your experiences there. I am so excited about going. So I think that's going to be my next Disney cruise. It's going to hop on that treasure.
Absolutely. Thank y'all for having me.
Yeah, 7-nighters too. I mean, that's sweet. I mean, that's a way to go.
But if you guys would like to see some of the things that Ben was talking about, Ben, why don't you share your socials if you don't mind? And if someone wants to get in touch with you later down the line and say, hey, maybe Ben can help me hop on a treasure, something like that. Would you mind sharing that?
No, I don't mind at all. So on Instagram and on Facebook, it's going to be Ben Lappin, and that's Lappin Travel. So Ben Lappin Travel. On any of those, you can find all of my contact information on both of those. If you want to email me, it's ben@themagicforless.com.
Thank you, sir.
And on any of those cruises too, let's not forget the onboard credit, because those are a great way. It's free money to y'all. This is going to be the same price booking through us versus booking, directly with Disney, but you get that amazing onboard credit, and you can use that for anything from souvenirs, drinks, spa packages, shore excursions, anything like that you want to.
Good deal.
That's one thing we didn't talk about was the shopping, but I'm assuming there's good shops on the ship.
There are, yep. There's a lot of them. You get the Mickey's main sale, and then you got the Forget Me Nots, and then there is one downstairs, and it's got the Dooney and Burke purses, but then it's also got a couple different nods to the theme park. So it's got the Haunted Mansion clock that you can get, and it's got a couple different things for 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, things like that.
That's awesome.
Gene loves the Dooney and Burke purses. That's his favorite, I think.
And then on that ship too, I know a lot of people are going to say, with the inaugural sailings, we did hear that all of the merchandise on there that says the treasure, all of those, the inaugural sailing merchandise is going to be available for the first year.
Oh,
Okay.
it's kind of like the 50th anniversary celebration at Disney that lasted for 18 months.
Well, I mean, Gene could get on there and get him a Spirit jersey. Now, we all know how he feels about Spirit jerseys as well.
Well,
just
Kane, you're on mute, so nobody can hear you.
Love them. You have no idea. My obsession with Spirit jerseys.
Closet full of them.
Yep. So now we're going to turn to our favorite part of the show. Well, at least it's our favorite. It may not be your favorite. You may have to endure through it. And that is quacking up with the ducks. So, Jody B, can you quack us up tonight?
Oh, I'm so glad you called on me first because I hope we don't have the same one. Okay, so why won't shrimp share their treasure?
Because they're a shellfish.
Yes, sir. Is that the same one you had?
That was my joke. That's okay. I have, great minds think alike.
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
Or
Great
something
internet
like that.
searches, like,
you know, Gene is like a treasure to me. We make fun of each other, but he is. He's a treasure to me because I always want to bury him. Ben, can you quack us up, sir?
All right. So, kind of tying into cruises.
Mhm.
Did you hear about the guy who invented lifesavers? They say he made a mint.
oh, that was good.
That's a good one. Gene, crack us up.
So I don't have a joke, but I may have told you about this before. Did I tell y'all about, like, we have a terrible police department here. Just right under their noses, all the toilets in the whole police station were all stolen. They have nothing to go on.
Oh, it's a potty
That's a
joke.
good one. We got some good jokes tonight. You know. So, guys, I hope you enjoyed listening to the show tonight. Had a blast. Thanks to our special guest Ben for joining us. But as always, some things were said, and our lawyers, of course, they're pretty strict. So just keep us above board. Gene, what did the lawyers have to say?
This episode of Disney with the Ducks was brought to you by the magical melodies of the Disney Treasure cruise ship and the unparalleled expertise of our friend Ben, the Disney travel agent. So knowledgeable, even Mickey takes notes. Hosted by the intrepid trio of Gene, Jody, and Lonnie, this show featured top-notch cruise content and the occasional unscripted joke that may or not land. As for John, Jeff, and Kevin, they were off pursuing endeavors far too important to join us. Rumor has it John was writing his memoir, Life Without Ducks. Jeff was perfecting the art of hammock lounging, and Kevin was discovering the cure for procrastination. He'll get to it eventually. Listening to this episode may cause uncontrollable wanderlust, cruise envy, or the sudden urge to ask Ben to book your next Disney adventure. Side effects may include Googling how to stow away on the Disney Treasure, random bursts of Disney trivia, and a newfound appreciation for Gene's encyclopedic cruise knowledge. Please note the zaniness of this disclaimer was not reviewed or approved by the Disney Cruise Line, Ben's travel agency, or anyone with a shred of common sense. Disney with the Ducks is not responsible for any post-show bookings, sudden credit card charges, or Lonnie's corny cruise jokes. Proceed with ears wide open and let the magic set sail.
As always, we are covered. Thanks so much, guys, for joining us tonight.
CYA.
Bye, everybody.
Thanks, friends. And thank you, Ben.
You're very
Thanks,
welcome.
Ben.
Thank you for having me on.
Was this sweep weeks? Is this why we had Ben on?
It was. Sweep
Yeah,
weeks.
sweeps.
Yes, got to get the best in here.
Yeah, someone else is going to have to yell out the DuckTales.
Woo-hoo.
All right.
Let's hear it one more time, Ben.
Right. DuckTales.
Woo-hoo.
Right.
All right.
I
Thanks,
enjoyed it.
my friend. I appreciate you.
Take it easy,
You're
man.
very welcome.